Welcome to another video. Now I'm going to start this one with a quick disclaimer. If you are easily offended by general mindless drone brutality and drone abuse, then you definitely should not be watching this video and you should turn off right now. But if, like myself, you think, that sounds like really good fun, then you're in the right place. Welcome to my DJI Neo 2 crash review. Now I've already done a crash review on the Neo 1 and that did exceptionally well, crashing to trees, concrete walls, people, being dropped from 120 meters. Basically anything I threw at it, it survived. So I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Now the Neo 2, in terms of its general construction, is a bit more complex. You've got additional sensors top and bottom. You've got this display at the front. You've got a more heavy 2-axis stabilized gimbal, and generally the craft is about 25-30 grams more heavy than the Neo 1. So my hopes for this are not quite as high as the Neo 1, but we've got to find out. So let's get straight into it. Let's do the first crash test, and that is to fly into a soft target, me. Already got a tiny little crack there at the top. Okay. Okay, so after that first crash test, how's this one done? Generally all right, but there's a tiny little crack at the front here, which is really unexpected because generally when I do these crash tests, the soft target test, none of the drones I've tested so far have had any damage at all. This one, not doing so well so far, so it's not looking very promising. But we're going to get into the next test, which is to fly into a tree, unless I can think of anything else in this woodland environment to fly into. Ooh, that's an idea. That's another idea. Let's crash into some drones. Okay, so for the first drone collision crash test, we're going to go Neo 2 versus Neo 1. Going to try 2 rounds if it makes that far, and then going to move on to the DJI Mini 5 Pro. Okay, before we're going to crash these into each other, we're going to keep obstacle detection and bypass on the Neo 2 and just see how well these 2 drones or the Neo 2 can avoid another small drone flying in its way. And then we're going to turn that off and crash them into each other. Okay, so after that first round of the Neo 2 versus Neo 1 in a head-on collision test, the Neo 2 and Neo 1 both came out unscathed, which is really impressive. Crashed them about 4 times, clipped them a few times, more heavy crashes a few other times. No damage, which is great. Now we're going to up the wackiness and add the Mini 5 Pro into the mix, which is a bit worrying because we've got exposed propellers. It's a heavier drone, a bit more complex, sticky outy bits and all that nastiness. So let's go into that round and hopefully we'll make it through that to test crashing this into a tree as well. Let's go. Okay, so after that second set of head-on collision crash tests, Neo 2 versus Mini 5 Pro, no damage to either of these two drones, which I'm actually quite surprised about, but pleasantly surprised about, because that means we can go on to the next round, which is crashing into a tree. This one can go back into its bag. You've done your job for today. You're going to get some more abuse. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, so for the next test, we're back to our old trusty friend, the Tree of Destruction. Ooh. Ooh, that was a nasty one. Okay, so far crashing into a tree at up to 25 kilometers an hour. No extra damage above that little hairline fracture that we got in that first set of crash tests into me. We're going to go up to 30 kilometers an hour, 35, 40. If we get up to those kind of speeds, then it's the next stage, which means concrete wall, and it's going to meet its end. Might even do a drop from 120 meters, so stick around for that. But let's up the speed, test 30 kilometers an hour next. Okay, so 35 kilometers an hour, and that sounded horrible, looked horrible, spun around about 1 million times, but so far no damage at all. Really impressed with it. After that first crash into myself and that hairline fracture at the front, I was a bit worried, but so far it's doing really well into drones, into trees. So yeah, we're going to do 40 kilometers an hour next, and then if it passes that, we're going to go to the next round, which is to drop it from 120 meters. And if it survives that, then we're going to go to the concrete wall of destruction, and that's where it's going to meet its end. Okay, so 40 kilometers an hour into a tree, and it's still largely unscathed. Now, there is that little crack that we caused in that first test has elongated a little bit. That's largely cosmetic, so we're going to carry on, put through some more carnage, drop it from 120 meters next, and then concrete wall if we make it that far. Okay. Okay, 120 meters was actually 110 meters because you need to be in manual mode to turn off your motors, and that's limited up to about 110, 115. So did that, had to restart the filming because that turns off when you turn off the motors, but it does seem to auto-rotate like the Neo 1 did. Took quite a while to get down. Let's just see if it does still fly. So I'm going to put into follow mode. There you go. Absolutely fine. Just like the Neo 1, this one's another little monster when it comes to rigidity. So the next test is going to be to take it to a concrete wall, smash it into that, and bring it to its bitter end. Let's go. All right, so we are at the final stage, the concrete wall of destruction, one of my favorite crash testing sites. This is where I've tested all other crash testing drones I've done so far. And the Neo 1 just about survived this one. Now, the Neo 1 and 2, so far pretty much head to head. This one survived everything I've thrown at it to this stage, crashing into trees, people, another drone, dropping it. So it's doing really well so far. Doubtful whether it's going to survive this one, let's get straight into it. Starting with 10 kilometers an hour, build the speed up from there, see if we can survive it. Let's go. Okay, so far, doing really well, no damage at all, just some little scuffs on these bumpers at the front, which is what they're there for. They're there to protect the displays and the gimbals, so they're doing their job. Apart from that, no other damage at up to 20 kilometers an hour, so that's really impressive. Doing its name proud, up to the Neo standards. Going to up the speed now, go up to 25, 30 kilometers an hour, see if we can cope with that. So first 25 kilometers an hour impact was fine, tried another one at 25 kilometers an hour and it doesn't start up at the moment, telling me that there's a sensor error and I think a motor obstruction error. So I'm just going to try and restart it to see if that sorts it. Otherwise, that'll be the end of it. There's a few little scuffs on the front of the gimbal now, nothing damaging but cosmetically not looking so nice anymore. Okay, see if that starts. Excellent. 30 kilometers an hour coming straight up. Okay, so that one looked nasty. Protectors have moved a little bit, but I think we can clip them back in place. We can. It's getting a bit mangled now. A few scuffs on it, but still looks all right, so we'll try again. Concrete greets you in tidal roar. Metal fragments kiss the shore. Me or two. Forest scars and ocean flame. Every crash secures your name. Me or... Okay, so after 35 kilometers an hour, visually looks all right, just a bit scuffed and starting to get a bit deformed on the side there. So it's getting a bit of a hard time, but quite crucially, it looks like the gimbal's now pushed itself into sort of like a locked position and doesn't actually move when I try and adjust it. So I think it's starting to get to the point where it's no longer a working drone, something that you want to be using on a daily basis, because if your gimbal doesn't work properly, then it's sort of not game over, but it's not fun anymore. But it'll still fly, which is quite impressive. So I'm going to do a 40 kilometer an hour test, see if it'll still fly then, see if I can completely kill it. But yeah, it's done really well. But it seems to be failing on that gimbal, which we did suspect because it's more complex, more moving parts on it, and that seems to be its failing point in this set of tests. Okay, so after that 40 kilometer an hour impact, looks like the gimbal's actually freed itself. So I probably just had a bit of dirt or something get in there. That's completely fine again. It's now not starting, so I'm just going to restart this and see if it starts again. 40 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely insane that the Neo 2 is living up to the Neo name and is an absolute beast when it comes to taking impacts. So let's see if we can start it again. Okay, I'm gonna have to get my goggles out because we fit it at 40 kilometers an hour. That's the maximum. Pretty much you can get up to 43 technically, but that's it. So goggles, manual mode. Let's really thresh it. It's getting really dark. Come on, I haven't got time for this. Okay, so it actually ejected the battery on that one. It it still looks intact though, which is just insane. I mean, okay, that display has actually lost the protector at the front. That display here, it's got a little protector, plastic protector on it. That seems to be something that a lot of people are reporting gets lost on this. Would be good if DJI would supply this as a spare part, but there we go. But apart from that, let's see if it powers up. I'd be very impressed if it does, because that was pretty fast. Let me have a quick look how fast that was. 55 kilometers an hour at impact, which is just insane speed. That is very fast. Gimbal's trying to initiate. So it's doing some funky business there at the moment. I'm just going to try and loosen it a bit by wiggling it around a bit. See if there's anything in there that can be moved out. There was something seems to be catching. Let's have a look. Does it sort itself out? Okay, gimbal seems to work again. I had to wiggle this around a bit, turned off and on a few times. But at the moment, let's see if it starts. Remember, this crashed into that wall at 55 kilometers an hour. 40 miles an hour. Okay, one of those props doesn't sound very good, but unbelievable. That's just unbelievable. Okay, yeah, one of those props is not looking so good. Now I could change that prop, but I'll take too long, so let's do another crash. Might as well. It's got most of that prop, so it should be enough. Okay, so the Neo 2's reached its end after that untidy crash just now, which was a bit unfortunate because it wasn't actually the crash itself, it was the fact that it landed upside down, obstructed the motor, and we've now got an ESC error, which tells me that the speed controller is burnt out. You can also smell like a charry electronic smell, so one of the speed controls is gone on this. So this drone now has to either be repaired or retired, but it's exceptionally amazing how well this drone has done, considering it's been crashed into that wall at up to 55 kilometers an hour. That's 40 miles an hour into a concrete wall. Mad. So how does it compare to the Neo 1? That's what everyone's asking me. Does it live up to the Neo 1 indestructible or near indestructible name? Well, bearing in mind this has been crashed into myself at various speeds, into a tree, into other drones, dropped from 110 meters, into a concrete wall at 55 kilometers an hour, I'd say it's pretty much up to that same level. Yes, it's got some scuffs on it. Yes, the gimbal is a bit iffy now. That protective plastic on the display at the front has come off. So it's not perfect anymore. It's very scuffed up and very beaten up. But apart from that ESC failing at the end, it would still be flying, which is absolutely phenomenal and pretty much on the same level as the Neo 1. But please, please do take these tests with a pinch of salt, because they are just a bit of fun, a sort of real life scenario. What happens if you do this, if you do that? That doesn't mean that you can crash into a concrete wall at 55 kilometers an hour and get away with it every time. You could get very unlucky. You could crash at 15 kilometers an hour into something pointy on a weak point on this, which I haven't tested, and cause damage. That'll mean you'll have to get it repaired. So take it as that. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative and entertaining. I enjoyed filming this. I'm once again absolutely gobsmacked by how well these little drones are built. So yeah, this one's retired now. Thanks for watching. Happy flying, stay safe. Remember to like and subscribe and hype and all that jazz, because it'll really help the channel. It's a massively saturated market for YouTube videos at the moment, and I'm still trying to push myself through it and create interesting content for you guys. So any help is massively appreciated. Until next time, see you soon.